Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into the fascinating architecture of human behavior, drawing from Thomas Alathia's work, 12 Steps to a Good Life. We're tackling something pretty much all of us struggle with at some point, right? That exhausting uphill battle of trying to break deeply ingrained bad habits. If you've ever tried to change a persistent behavior and found yourself right back at square one, well, stick around, because this is going to completely shift how you look at your own mind.
So let's start with a question that probably hits pretty close to home. Why do our promises to never do it again almost always fail? I mean, think about those massive vows to change. You know the ones, the classic New Year's resolutions, or those Monday morning declarations that you will absolutely never, ever eat sugar or procrastinate again. We make these sweeping declarations with total sincerity, yet the resolve just crumbles. Why is that?
Before we unpack exactly why we fail, it's absolutely crucial to hear this right from our source material. The first thing to make clear about bad habits is that they do not mean you are a bad person. You are human, and you can get better. It's so easy, isn't it, to look at a slip-up as a moral failing, calling ourselves weak or lazy? But struggling with a habit doesn't mean you lack morals. It simply means you're using a flawed strategy. You're basically trying to fight human nature with the wrong weapons.
Section 1. Your unconscious 800-pound gorilla.
Picture this. Your conscious mind, the part of you making that big vow to change, is riding on the shoulders of an 800-pound gorilla. That gorilla? That represents your unconscious mind. If you consciously decide you want to go left, but the giant gorilla decides it wants to go right, well, you're going right. Try bossing around a stubborn silverback and see how far you get, right? Your willpower alone literally cannot physically force that massive animal to turn. Nothing changes until the gorilla actually agrees to change direction.
So why is our unconscious so stubborn? Well, the source explains that our unconscious mind is actually made up of multiple facets, or modules, and their whole job is just to keep us safe and happy. They are incredibly energy efficient and fast, running entirely on autopilot. They mimic past behaviors that helped you survive or cope. For instance, if your unconscious learned years ago that eating chocolate makes you feel calm during a stressful situation, a module in your brain says, "Yes, please, let's do that again." It really isn't trying to sabotage you, it's actively trying to comfort you.
And to make things even trickier, we hit this psychological trap called ironic processes theory. Basically, this is the weird phenomenon where the harder you try not to think of something, the stronger it gets. Let's do a quick test from the text. Right now, I want you to try your hardest not to think of a pink bunny. Do whatever you can to keep a pink bunny out of your mind. Notice how your brain immediately summoned a giant pink bunny? It's crazy. When you vow, "I will never eat junk food again," you literally force your brain to fixate on the exact thing you're trying to avoid.
Section 2. The core concept. The Daily Reprieve.
You see, a flawed mindset looks at the rest of your life, we're talking decades of time, and says, "I will never do it again." It's an exhausting, downright impossible mental load. But the practical mindset, it shrinks that timeline dramatically to just, "I will break it for one day." Abandoning that overwhelming forever timeline makes the battle highly winnable. You aren't fighting the rest of your life, you're just fighting until you go to sleep tonight.
And that brings us to the core concept here, the Daily Reprieve. This means committing to breaking a bad habit for one day at a time, just today. As the source material points out, if humans could successfully program themselves forever with a single command, well, we'd be robots. But we aren't robots. We build character through daily effort. Shrinking the battleground down to just the next 24 hours aligns perfectly with our human nature.
The psychological relief you get from this approach is just immense. To quote the text directly, your battleground is not the rest of your life. It is only today. You don't have to worry about how you're going to resist your habit next month or at some big party next year. You just have to focus all your energy on winning today.
Section 3. Rerouting your triggers.
Now, because habits never truly disappear, they actually just go dormant, we have to actively retrain our brains to take a different path when a cue hits. This breaks down into 3 practical steps: avoid the trigger, create an alternate behavior, and use implementation intentions. Let's break these down real quick.
Step 1 is mapping your triggers, because you really can't fight what you haven't clearly identified. The text suggests listing every person, place, or emotion that makes you want to engage in your bad habit, and then honestly rating them. A designated smoking area at work? That's avoidable. You just don't walk over there. A stressful project is difficult to avoid, but, manageable. But if your partner smokes, that trigger is practically impossible to avoid. Categorizing them like this shows you exactly where to deploy your mental defenses.
Now, for those triggers you just can't avoid, you need alternate behaviors and what the text calls implementation intentions. These are basically your if-then statements. For example, if I crave a midnight snack, then I will walk 100 steps. The alternate behavior can be entirely ridiculous, honestly. It just has to be something other than the bad habit. You are pre-deciding your reaction, so you aren't relying on willpower in the heat of the moment. You've already mapped out the alternate route.
But here is a really vital warning from the text. Have multiple alternate plans ready at a moment's notice, and rehearse them in advance. Bad habits are incredibly sneaky. The author actually notes how many times he quit smoking, only to have his brain suddenly tell him, "Hey, I quit smoking, so now I can celebrate with a smoke." I know, it sounds completely illogical, but in the moment, to a craving brain, it makes perfect sense. Rehearsing your if-then plans when you are completely calm is exactly how you prepare for those sneaky moments of vulnerability.
Section 4. Winning today. I really want to let this summary statement sink in. Winning today is everything. Do not worry about forever, concentrate on today. You see, the grand illusion of personal development is that change happens in these massive, lifelong leaps. But it doesn't. Stringing together successful todays, just one 24-hour block at a time, is really the only practical way to build a good life.
So take a look at your own 800-pound gorilla. Look at those habits that have been holding you back. Forget about next week. Forget about the rest of your life. What will you commit to winning just for today?